What dangers can you see in this freeze frame? Would you be happy to continue at this point? My viewer was, and then this happened.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's have a look at this first clip in a little more detail. My viewer takes up a good position after the junction. There's enough room for traffic to flow. Perfect. But it's when they move out to the right again to take up primary to negotiate a pedestrian crossing that things go wrong. At this point it is difficult to see on camera, however there is some movement in the central reservation. And because of the distortion of the action camera, it's a lot closer than it appears. And as my viewer moves to the right, it's difficult to see those people. That means it's difficult to see the cyclist. Now, the pedestrians obviously need to do a better job and not just walk out. But what should have my cyclist viewer done at this point? Well, I call it growing the gap. My viewer's way too close to the van in front, but they've had to get out to stop other vehicles pushing past at this pinch point. But my viewer doesn't quite grow the gap enough. They kept on pedalling where they should have just coasted and made sure everyone had seen them. People do just walk out, but it's the cyclist's responsibility to keep them safe, don't forget. Notice the crossing boxes are also blocking eye contact, and this is quite key to any situation. But watch what happens over the next couple of seconds, and my viewer does very little to sort this out. They're travelling too fast to be able to stop. It's now obvious both of the kids are going to run out, and yes, did you realise there was two of them? My viewer's hands haven't changed significantly to pull the brakes harder, and instead they choose to steer to avoid. In this situation, it works.
Oh, Jesus.
But only just, and my viewer's reaction tells me they weren't ready for that. And to wrap up this clip, I'd like to give a special shout out to the adult who was with the kids, who literally smiled all the way through and was absolutely oblivious. For this next clip we're going to be using one from Cyclists, and again I think the speed on the approach is a little fast. Risk is decreased when the driver spots him. However, what if they hadn't have done?
What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh.
Calm yourself down, Gaz. A man of your experience should be able to deal with this comfortably, but I have seen you get into a few of these situations on a regular basis. There's a few things I'd like people to watch in this clip. It's obviously the white car to the left that can't be seen exiting from the junction that's the problem, but it's actually the red Volkswagen Golf GTI coming in the opposite direction that instigates this risk. You can actually see where the red Golf is holding back. They're not continuing. There's no one in front of them. They must be letting someone out of the junction, and you can see this before the first flash. For this next section of the clip, I'd like you to watch Gaz's hands on the brakes and also his feet, which you can see in the shadow to the left. Don't forget, risk is high. The driver of the white car can't be certain to be seeing Gaz at this point. Gaz kept pedalling and he hasn't even covered the brakes. It's quite similar to what we saw in the first clip. If the pedestrian had come out quicker, or in fact if this white car had come out quicker, we would have been looking at a collision. Luckily though, the driver of the white car did spot Gaz on his bike, but I don't think Gaz was in charge of this. The message Gaz tries to get out about flashing the lights and the dangers of acting upon someone's flash is a good message though. Make sure you look properly for yourself before emerging. And if you are approaching a similar situation, hopefully now you'll be able to work out what's going to happen before it does, and you won't have to rely on steering round to avoid. I'm just going to let you watch this clip and see if anything that I've just talked about applies here. Your opinion in the comments section would be appreciated. And I would also like to add, the drivers in these last two clips were absolutely awful. They need to do much better to look after the more vulnerable cyclists.
Hi. You didn't see me?
No, didn't see, mate.
Ah.
To finish, we've got an example of some much better riding. My viewers riding at a speed where they could stop comfortably, and they seem to be ahead of the game. It's quite simple really. Add it to your riding. Keep safe, I'll see you soon.